The idea for this trip started with an airline ad. It showed people hiking near a view of some amazing fjords. We immediately wanted to know where the shot was taken, but it wasn't anywhere near where we expected. The beautiful Appalachian Mountains run up the eastern side of the United States. Though they are very picturesque, they are much smaller than the mountains we have out west, and we certainly didn't think they had any glacier-carved features or dramatic fjords. But we were wrong. The far northern end of this mountain range, the Long Range Mountains on the Canadian island of Newfoundland, has stunning glacier-carved features that look straight out of Norway. Our aim was to backpack across the Long Range Mountains to see them, but our trip to Newfoundland surprised us with so much more. Dramatic coastlines, incredible fall colors, and excellent sport climbing, just to name a few. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Our first objective in Newfoundland was the Long Range Traverse, a multi-day off-trail backpacking adventure in the remote Long Range Mountains. You start by hopping on a boat tour of the Western Brook Pond, a lake that runs up the middle of a huge glacier-carved valley. On the boat, we got to learn about the geology of this place and see the cliffs and their waterfalls up close. We also learned that these valleys are technically no longer fjords, since they are separated by a few miles of swampy ground from the ocean, though they were connected to the sea in the past. At the far end of the lake, the boat dropped us off and headed back to finish the tour. We were the only ones dropped off, and we learned during our backcountry orientation that we might be the last group of the season. After getting off the boat, we started the climb up the eastern side of the valley. This was one of the trickiest sections, as we followed a small river up through a dense forest. We passed some beautiful waterfalls along the way, and finally emerged from the trees into a more open plateau-type terrain, where we got our first views of the Western Brook Pond from above. Backpacking out here is a serious undertaking. There's no established trail, which means you need to route find yourself. Getting lost or delayed is very common. The weather can be extreme and change very quickly. If you do need rescue, you'll need to signal for it using satellite communication, but it might take days to come. The forest section had taken way longer than expected though, so we had to keep climbing toward the spot we had picked for our first camp. We got there just as the sunset was starting. Our viewpoint of the lake faced west, so we got amazing sunset views over the valley. As the sunset faded, the wind picked up and the temperature started to drop rapidly, so we got into the tent for a night's sleep. The next morning, we packed up our camp and took in some last views before starting our long trek across the plateau. The day turned out bright and sunny, resulting in a nice hiking temperature. Along the way, we passed innumerable lakes, small and large. As we had been warned, the terrain is very muddy up on this plateau. Basically every step made a squelching sound, and the whole trail was a delicate dance to avoid stepping into deeper water than our shoes could keep out. This plateau is also home to a large population of moose, and their tracks were everywhere up here. We were glad of our choice to do this in the fall, as the bushes showed plenty of bright color, and the biting flies, which we heard could get really bad up here, were virtually non-existent. We got lost a few times, but we were always able to find our way pretty quickly again. After a long day of trekking over hills, around lakes, and through muddy grass, we made it to our second campsite. Our third and final day started with a very cold morning and some frost covering the ground. We also had to take off our shoes and navigate a knee-deep river crossing early on, which really got us fully awake. This day got us to a view of a second glacier-carved valley, which was ablaze with fall color. The wind makes a huge difference in the temperature up here. The change between a sunny spot that's sheltered from the wind and a cloudy spot that's exposed to the wind is huge. As we neared the end of the long-range traverse, we joined up with an established trail, the Gros Morne Mountain Trail. Of course, we couldn't pass up the chance to get some more dramatic views in, so we made a quick detour to the mountain summit and back. We passed a waterfall on the way down the mountain and finished the trail just as the sun was setting. Though we'd completed the main adventure we came to Newfoundland for, we took a few days after to explore other aspects of the island, and the beautiful and wild setting did not disappoint. The coastal views were some of the most dramatic we'd ever seen, and we were constantly blown away by how few people we encountered. This land is still so wild, and it was refreshing to get to see it without battling crowds. We hadn't been expecting fall colors here, thinking it was too early in the year for it, but boy were we wrong about that. As we drove around the lower elevation parts of the island, we got to see some stunning foliage, filling valleys with dramatic shades of red and orange. Though certainly not known for climbing, we found some great sport climbing opportunities as well. Including this tricky arête climb, called the Lamb. I love this climb, both for the striking position and sustained slight overhang, as well as for the problem solving. The rock here has so many small features, and I was constantly finding new holds in beta, right up to this end. The long overhung portion doesn't have any great rests, meaning you'll run out of energy and fall if your sequence isn't efficient enough, or you spend too much time trying to find holds. In the end though, I found a workable sequence that allowed me to send this beautiful climb and cap off an already amazing Newfoundland adventure. If you enjoyed, don't miss our upcoming adventures by subscribing. We're just getting started in the fall foliage department, and there's much more climbing to come.